Hey, welcome back to the channel. I've got something a little bit different today. I have got the new Zeus from Nuex. I'm very excited to try this for a couple of reasons. One, I am a huge fan of Nuex and have been for many years. And this is their first ever power supply that I'm aware of, at least. And I'm, very keen to check it out. I wasn't in the market for a new power supply, but Nuex were very kind to send this over to me. So of course I'm going to check it out. The last time I demonstrated or reviewed a power supply, it was my Harley Benton Iso 10 AC Pro. I think that's the whole name. Picture on the screen right now. Anyway, that power supply has been a fairly sturdy workhorse over the last couple of years. I use it primarily as a power supply for my demo board. So I've got a whole bunch of pedals on here that I use exclusively for demoing, plugging into tuner, looper, and then that looper splits out into the drums into a reverb, and then reconvenes back into my Nuex Amp Academy. And all of that is being powered currently by that Harley Benton. Anyway, I'm excited to try this because I suspect this will be taking over duties from my Harley Benton. Let's open it up, shall we? I haven't opened this at all since I got it, because I thought I'd do one of those on-air unboxings that you hear so much about. Packaging is super nice though. I don't know if I've said this before about Nuex's packaging of recent years, but it's got this really nice kind of like almost velvety or satin kind of feel to the box. Really nice. Not necessary at all, but I appreciate it. So inside there's some very neatly packaged boxes within boxes. A little sleeve here, very neat and smart again. Manual, not going to need that. And a cool sticker. What else? A warranty card. Very useful. Hopefully won't be needing that either. Okay, let's get into the meat of this. One of these boxes has these two little cutouts. So let's go with that first. Oh, I'm guessing this is the power cable. I don't know for sure, but I have a strong suspicion. Yes, so here we have, I believe, yes, we've got an IEC kettle lead cable. UK, yes, this is something I was wondering about. If you'll remember, when I got my Harley Benton, if you'll remember watching that unboxing review video, the cable I got with that was an EU one, so it's very nice to not have to worry about finding an adapter or anything for this one. So that's cool to have a UK plug. I appreciate that. That's the one box out of the way. Let's go with this little one. I assume this is a bunch of power cables to go from the actual unit to your pedals. And yes, they are. Again, very nice packaging. These even though these are just bags, these are super nice. Okay, I've got so many of these already. I don't need more. But for anyone buying one of these without any previous power supplies, it's really cool to have. So yeah, all of these cool little power cables. I think they all have a straight plug on one end and an angled one on the other, so that's quite cool to have the option of which end goes in the pedal. I think most people would probably use the angled for the pedal side. I know I would. Cool, that's one bag of cables, and then there's another bag here. Aha, I think this has some Velcro in it. They didn't have to do that. That's cool. Yeah, that's awesome. There's loads of more cables and Velcro. So these are Okay, so we've got... That's not even Velcro, that's dual lock. Damn. Huh, that's cool. That's awesome. So we've got 4 strips of dual lock. I've never used dual lock before, but I've heard great things about it. If I'm correct, yes, you don't have a hook and a loop side with this stuff. It is just one material that just clicks together on itself and is much, much more secure than Velcro is. So even just linking those 2 bits together, they are super, super strong. So yeah, very cool to have those. I presume these are for securing your power supply underneath the board. So definitely something you wouldn't want to rely on regular Velcro for. Having dual lock is definitely a more secure way of supporting a power supply underneath a pedal board. So very cool to have that. And they also provide some adhesive pads. So I don't know if you can see that. They've got 4 of these little things you can just pop out and adhere to the bottom, I presume, of the power supply. If you're using it on a tabletop, which I probably will be. So I will avail myself of the pads, I think. Okay, now we come to the main event, leaving the best till last. Again, a really nice bag. Talk amongst yourselves. There we go. Oh wow! So I had seen pictures of this already, but wow, in the metal, that is really, really smart. Check that out. How cool is that? I am a sucker for purple, and yeah, that is a really striking looking power supply. That's awesome. So we've got aluminium construction. Another thing I wanted to try out on this, again, if you remember watching my Harley Benton review, unboxing that unit, I almost cut my hands because of the sharp, and I mean sharp, edges on the enclosure. It was like rough cut metal, basically. There was literally zero treatment of that enclosure. All of the edges are just razor sharp, and yeah, it was not a pleasant experience to hold. And yeah, looked very cool. It's got brushed aluminium on and stuff on it, but yeah, to actually hold in your hands, it did feel cheap in its finishing. Like it didn't go through a quality control almost at the end. Like they just chucked it in a box and go, there you go. So this is not that. This definitely feels much, much more professional, I guess is the word to use. It's definitely safer on the edges, which is what you want, really. You shouldn't have to want that in a power supply. I don't want it to cut my hands. Yeah, but this doesn't, I'm happy to say. I haven't plugged in yet, obviously, but it looks like there are some LEDs along the top edge of these outputs. So we have got 6 9-volt outputs along here, all at 500 milliamps each. That's really cool. You can see along the front, they're labelled here as well, which is useful. Further along, the other outputs that we have here are switchable. So we've got 9 volts, 12 volts or 18 volts, and it also gives you the milliampere outputs for those settings as well, which is also very useful to have, because the Harley Benton does the same thing where you switch from 9 to 12 to 18, and each of those settings gives you a reduction in milliamps. So the current is halved each time, basically, that you drop it down. So again, it's cool to have it actually labelled on here so you can keep track of exactly what current is being supplied at different settings. Another thing I've just noticed about this, out of the box, it is preset at 9 volts. That is not something that Harley Benton did. When I got that, they were all preset at 18 volts. So again, another big plus for New X here. If you didn't know any different with the Harley Benton unit, plugged that in to your pedals from the right side, because it's arranged, I think, the same way. Yeah, the same way as this. So you've got all of the switchable outputs over on this side. If you bought one of those and didn't really know about voltages and things, plugged straight into the first output on there, into your 9-volt pedal, powered on, you would, in all likelihood, fry that pedal, which again is not what you want. So a big plus again for New X for not doing that. Everything is already at 9 volts ready for you, so you have to physically move it to 12 or 18. I like that. That's really cool. Cool, I didn't know this. So on the back you also have, you probably saw this already when I was moving it around, the 5-volt USB output, which is also something that the Harley Benton has, but that's on the front with all of the other outputs. So it's cool to have it on the back, because if you wanted to run, say, well, you could charge your phone if you wanted to from your pedal board, but I think far more likely is that I have seen people with lights underneath their pedal board. So those usually run off a 5-volt USB jack. So the fact that this has one of those means that you could have a whole bunch of RGB light strips underneath your pedal board run by the power supply underneath. So that is really cool. You could definitely take advantage of that. And I think that, yeah, that's 1.5 amps. So that's 1,500 milliamps of power coming from that USB. So that's really impressive. And then, of course, that's on top of all of the 500 milliamp outputs that you've got on the front here. That's awesome. Really impressed with that. There's one output I haven't talked about yet. It is this one on the end. This one is also switchable, but not with a switch. This one has a tiny little sag knob, if you can see. Let me just try and focus there. There we go. So this one has a 6 volts, I got that wrong, to 12 volt range. So you can have 9 volt as normal in the bottom position, or you can actually use this as a starve for example, for a fuzz, like a fuzz face kind of a pedal that responds well to reduced power. Like if you wanted to emulate a dying battery, for example, you can get some extra spitty, gated kind of sounding fuzz if you back that right off. Or you can overpower your output to 12 volts. Some pedals like the OCD or OCD style overdrives and distortions, they can work just fine at 18 volts, but then there's varying levels of saturation and headroom and whatnot that you can kind of dial in by using voltages between 9 and 18. So obviously you have 18 volt outputs available here, but if you wanted something really specific between 12 and 9, you can also dial that in with this output as well. Super cool. I've talked enough at this point, I think. Let's plug it in, try it out with a whole bunch of pedals. I am not expecting to hear any noise or interference, hum, hiss, anything from this thing. So, but yeah, let's not presume, shall we? Let's plug it in and make absolutely sure. The New X Zeus. Okay, so here we are plugged in. I noticed a couple of really cool things that I didn't pick up on before. First of all of these extra cables that came with it, they are providing you with options for plugging in various weird power inputs. So this one, for example, if you've got a vintage Rat or an old electro-harmonics pedal, for example. A lot of those use these tiny little input jack for the power. So you've got an adapter there for if you've got any old pedals like that. This one, it's a center positive connector. So this is, I think, a polarity reversal cable going from a regular DC center negative output on the power supply, converting to a center positive. The other thing it has, which is super cool, and the reason why I have the Qtron Plus here, is this awesome doubler cable. So you can see here, you've got this cable, it's a regular center negative end on the end there, goes into this splitter. So you can connect two of the, well, I've got these set to 12 volts on the two outputs here, both going into this single combined power jack that is then delivering 24 volts combined into the Qtron Plus, which has the requirement of 24 volts. Very similar to the EXO reissue of the Deluxe Memory Man. Both of these electro-harmonics pedals from this era, they are notoriously awkward to power on pedal boards, so it's really cool that NUX have thought to provide this cable in here. The one thing that it doesn't have in the box, as far as I can see, is this section here. So although I think this has a polarity reversal option to it, it only has the male end there. Whereas for this cable to work, you've already got the male end here. So what I needed was a female to male polarity reversal cable, because this requires a center positive connection. Okay, so that was the one thing I feel was is lacking from this particular package. But that's not bad going at all, because I don't think I actually have a voltage doubler cable anywhere in my collection. So that's a really cool, useful cable adapter thing to have now. Okay, so that waffle aside, I was just really excited to find out about that. All the pedals that we've got here, I've tried to curate and carefully select to kind of show off what the power supply can do here. So as well as the 24 volt doubler powering the Qtron Plus, I also have this Past Effects New Division pedal, which is an 18 volt pedal. That is being obviously powered by the remaining switchable output on the Zeus. That is on 18 volts and behaving itself, and very, very happy with that. The other thing I'm using on the other output, the SAG output, is this pedal. This is a Mosky Audio Dolphin, which is an OCD clone. I'm not 100% sure if this operates at the same kind of capacity as a full-tone OCD, or many of the other clones that I've tried, but if it does, then it can also handle up to 18 volts. I'm not going to wind this up completely, although this being quite a cheap pedal, I won't be too upset if I slip up and accidentally fry it. But I'm not going to turn it past 9 volts on there. I mainly brought this out just to try and sag down to 6 volts, just to see how that sounds. The other things I've got over here, of course, the Red Panda Raster. That requires quite a lot of current to operate correctly, as in my experience, a lot of Red Panda pedals are quite particular about how much current they get in order to work properly. So this seems to be working perfectly happy, plugged into a 500 milliamp output. And I've also brought along a couple of other NUX products here, because of course, why not add delay and extra reverb to the mix. Okay, I'm confident this is all going to sound amazing, but let's just plug in and have a bash at some some of the sounds that we can get from this collection.